Folkestone in Kent on the southeast coast has undergone a great deal of regeneration. Most of Folkestone's town centre has been pedestrianised and a cafe culture is certainly growing here.
The lot I'm here to see today is extremely central and could not be more convenient for all those lovely coffee shops, which means it's an area ripe for similar regeneration. Promising. Now, the property itself is this. It's a grand, tall, four-storey building with a shop on the ground floor and a guide price of just £80,000 to £85,000. So let's start from the bottom up. Shop first, in we go. Well, my first impressions, it is huge. There is plenty of floor space, and that is brilliant. Now, I know this used to be a fancy dress shop at one point in its life, so we're talking A1 shop usage. So it could become a clothes shop, a toy shop, any kind of shop, really, or even a post office. It could be an undertaker's, a dry cleaner's. Just not somewhere that serves food or deals with financial services. So it's certainly got the space, it's got options. Let's go upstairs and look further.
Yes, it's a big space, but I'm not sure that retail is the answer here. I think I'd certainly look to see if I could get a change of use from commercial to residential, which is more in line with the rest of the building. However, if it was to remain a shop, the good news is that there's a separate access to the upper floors. And judging by the size of the building, there's going to be lots of space. But the crumbling facade does suggest that some work might be needed.
Well, the condition of the floors above is not great. The ceilings are coming down. I'd want to find out whether that is due to lots of rainwater coming in from the roof. So there is clearly work to do. But there's lots of square footage to work with also. Now, here is where I should tell you that, in fact, this property came with planning permission to turn this space on the upper levels into 5 flats, which is fantastic news. You've got 2 on the first floor, there's going to be 2 on the second floor and 1 on the top floor, all of them 1-bedders. This really is exciting news and makes this whole building just come to life.
There's certainly a lot of rooms, a lot of stairs and a lot of square footage here, but also a lot of repair work to do first. Well, you've got to get the fabric of the building in order before you can even start considering converting this 4-storey property into 5 flats.
So one of the flats will be at the rear of the second floor here, and it will be created in an extension out the back there. But this area here will be flat number 3. Now, it's hard to tell from these empty rooms what these flats are going to look like and feel like when they're finished. But according to the plans passed, this area is going to be the bathroom here. Over here is going to be the bedroom. So you've got an internal bathroom, which is going to really work, I think. It's a reasonable size. It's not massive, but it will be fine, this flat, because through here to the front room, look, you've got those amazing big high windows, all the light coming in, and this will be your kitchen, living, dining space with the kitchen along the back wall. You've got space for a sofa here. Now, all the flats have got this open plan kitchen space, which is fine, but you might want to bear in mind this will be the biggest of the proposed flats out of all of them. All in all, though, 5 flats, planning passed, commercial space to rent out on the ground floor. It's got my developer senses tingling.
But before you crack on and do anything here, you have to check out the property prices in the local area. Does converting this huge building into flats make financial sense? We asked along a local estate agent to give us his verdict. First off, what about the ground floor commercial unit, the shop?
The commercial unit will be difficult to rent because there's not a lot of demand. Yeah, it would be an owner-buyer, I would think. You wouldn't buy it. You wouldn't buy to let the shop, I don't think.
Well, that's not great news about the shop, but then these are difficult economic times for retail. What about the rest of the building and the plans that have been passed?
The layout for this building on the plans is for 5 one-bedroom flats, and for the sort of demand in this town, I think that that's the best way that they could use this particular building.
So financially, how would it stack up? What rent could you achieve per flat?
Rental for a one-bedroom flat in this particular area would be in the region of £400 to £450 per calendar month.
And what about sale value per flat?
A one-bedroom flat in this area would be in the region of £60,000 to £65,000 top end.
So altogether, that's between £300,000 to £325,000 if you sold all 5 flats, and a potential rental income between £2,000 and £2,255 per month if you let them all out.
A lot of people have faith in Folkestone as a place to invest, and with good reason. And this is an impressive building in a central location with planning in place to potentially make you some money. Let's see who went for it at the auction.
And the last lot for today is lot 67. It's the 4-storey town centre property that you can see there. Planning consent for conversion and extension of the upper parts to give you 5 self-contained flats, and with the shop as well. Start me where you will. Start me at 75 then. 75. I'm on the way at back at 75, 75 and 78. 78 sitting down, and 80 it's against you at the back. At 80 it's with you, and 2, 82, 82 and 4 and 4 and 6.
So despite a quiet auction room, the lot had started a bidding war, and we rejoin with bids at £100,000.
And 100 and 2 and 4 and 6 and 8 and 10 and 12 and 14, 116 and 18 again. 116 with you, 118 is against both of you. 118,000. Otherwise, for the first time again at £116,000, make no mistake, it's the lady in front for the first time, at £116,000 for the second time, if you're sure you're all done, and 116 for the third and final time, all done. That's yours for 116.
Regular viewers may recognise Deborah, who got the property for £116,000, because we've met her before on Homes Under the Hammer. She works for clients abroad as well as at home to help them build profitable portfolios.
Deborah, lovely to meet you again.
Yeah, likewise.
Now, the last time we met, you just bought a funeral parlour. In fact, my first one on Homes Under the Hammer, and you are back for more. Are you still investing on behalf of other people? Because that's what you were doing last time we met.
That's right, yes, yeah.
So you actually spot these properties for your investors, and you sort of go house shopping for them?
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what I do, yeah, on quite a large scale.
Deborah has built up a team of builders, and together they will come in and strip the building back to a shell. Leaking roofs, damp, old electrics, plumbing, all get sorted in the course of the work. So she was never worried about the building's current condition.
With this one, what is it that made it worth buying on auction day?
The fact that we can fit 5 properties into this building is a big bonus. 2 of them are going to have roof terraces, and one of them's also got a possible glass dome kitchen, which would make it really modern, trendy, and yet they're still going to be resold at a reasonable price. So the maths is right on there.
So you're looking at converting it into 5 flats. What about the ground floor unit, which is obviously a shop front?
What we were thinking was that the ground floor could be a sort of designer lounge, kitchen, living area for flat 2, which is going to go on the first level at the back. So that would make a 1-bed flat into like a good-sized 2-bedroom flat with a very interesting kitchen diner to utilise.
So that's if you do get planning permission to convert that.
Yeah.
Now, what if you don't get planning permission to convert that? You will have to use that as a commercial premises, a retail area.
Yeah. Well, if we don't get planning, we will be disappointed, because I think there's no mileage in it as a commercial venture. But we have in the maths that the whole structure of the project has allowed for that to be written off if we need to write it off.
So that is just your little bonus, your little cherry.
Exactly.
To get permission for that.
Yeah, that adds.
Ching.
That's right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be very nice to add to the profits and in that way. But if we don't, it's not the end of the world.
Deborah has a timescale of 10 months and a budget of £240,000 for the 5 flats, plus more if they get planning permission to do the rest.
How do you get the time to do your research, to get the planning before it's even gone through? I mean, you really are very ahead of the game.
I make sure a lot is done before the purchase, because it's too late afterwards, so everything is done up front and everything is in the buying and the maths. And if you get that right, then the rest should follow.
Deborah, good luck. I can't wait to see what this property's like when it's finished, and I hope you get permission for the ground floor. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you. Debbie is experienced, competent, calm and in control. I can't actually see this place giving her many problems, but will she get planning permission to convert that ground floor shop into another flat? Will that really be the cherry on the cake? You can find out what happens later on in the programme.
Now back to central Folkestone in Kent, where this full-storey mid-terrace building was bought for $116,000 by Deborah on behalf of an investor client. There were big plans to convert it into 5 one-bedroom flats and, if planning approval was granted, to make one of them a large 2-bedroom flat.
So you're looking at converting it into 5 flats. What about the ground floor unit, which is obviously a shop front?
What we were thinking was that the ground floor could be a sort of designer lounge, kitchen, living area for flat 2, which is going to go on the first level at the back. So that would make a 1-bed flat into like a good-sized 2-bedroom flat with a very interesting kitchen diner to utilise.
So that's if you do get planning permission to convert that.
Yeah.
Now, what if you don't get planning permission to convert that? You will have to use that as a commercial premises, a retail area.
Yeah. Well, if we don't get planning, we will be disappointed because I think there's no mileage in it as a commercial venture. But we have, in the maths, that the whole structure of the project has allowed for that to be written off if we need to write it off.
Deborah's building team were facing a mammoth task in making the fabric of the building sound before they could even start with the flat conversions. 10 months had been the planned timescale. 13 months later, we're back to see if Deborah's got it all sorted.
You can have it all. So come on, get it on.
Flat 1 on the first floor is the largest flat. Perhaps its most attractive feature can be found at the rear of the ensuite bedroom, a fantastic sun trap. On to flat 2. Also on the first floor, it has a reasonable sized living area, including a kitchen diner. And it doesn't end there.
You only have to open your eyes. You might just get a big surprise.
Its own outside area. And that's not the only thing in common with flat 1. It too is 1-bedroomed. Up now to the second floor and flat 3.
You can have it all. So come on, oh come on, get it on. I don't know what you're waiting for. Your time is coming, don't be late.
There are rooftop views from the kitchen and seeing windows to let the daylight.
Let it shine.
Flat 4 is also on the second floor. Look familiar? That's because the layout is the same as flat 1 without the outside space. On the top floor, the penthouse. With finishing touches just being applied to the kitchen units, it has a feature fireplace moved from a different part of the building. Its internal bathroom is just that, with one of the few baths in the block and rooftop views across Folkestone. Deborah and her investor are now ready to capitalise on their investment, but there's no shop conversion.
In relation to the shops in this area, the council really want to hang on to them. We found this out after we bought it. There's a lot of money going into this area and a lot of regeneration plans. So the council, quite rightly so, are very keen to hold on to any commercial units. So we didn't put a planning application in because it would have been a complete waste of time, really. And we put the shop on the market. But generally, the people who are interested in buying the shop would want accommodation with it. So really, I guess we've waited until the flats are done, until we're seriously going to try and sell it.
The plan of demolishing part of the rear structure needed a more strategic solution.
Something we really had to think about quite carefully was removal of rubble from this back building that we demolished. Over the back wall here we've got the supermarket and their car park, and it probably would have been ideal for us if we could have put the skip there and chucked it over the wall, but that wasn't so ideal for the supermarket. So the waste had to be brought through the building to the front and put in a big container out there that was on the road. We also had scaffolding up. That wasn't particularly an issue, but it does get quite busy around here, so you have to be quite careful. There's lots of things to think about in relation to safety of pedestrians walking underneath, especially if you're chucking out large concrete blocks. So, yeah, that side of things, the ripping out, we did have to plan for.
Deborah put her 3-month overrun down to the complications of a large multi-storey building and its plans, but it didn't have a massive impact on her budget, which rose from £240,000 to £250,000. Deborah wants to sell, so we called in 2 local estate agents to give us their opinions. I should imagine any agent would love the commission on this number of flats. Deborah's investor Tony came along too.
They've done a great job. A good build, nice finishes. I'm very impressed from what I saw 11 months ago, which was somewhat of a disaster. This is wonderful.
Yeah, excellent. Really, really nice throughout. Very fresh, bright and airy. Fixtures and fittings are really nice, high standard. And yeah, it should sell quite quickly.
The purchase price was £116,000 and the renovations have cost £250,000, bringing the total investment to £366,000. What resale prices do the agents think the flats will fetch, and will Deborah have made Tony a handsome profit?
I would say if these flats were put on the market for sale now, they would range from around £70,000 to £80,000. Obviously, the ones with the terraces would be at the upper end.
With the top floor apartment, which is the smallest, and I would value that in the region of £75,000. And then the 1-bed first floor terraced apartment, I would value in the region of £95,000.
The agent who gave the lower valuations feels this area isn't quite regenerated sufficiently yet to warrant higher values. His lower values give a total of £380,000. But the other agent's high valuations total £425,000, which would mean a profit of £59,000 minus taxes and expenses. But what does investor Tony think of that?
That's the first valuation a little on the low side from what we thought, the other one more or less in line, so not too far out, I think.
Yeah, it's not too much different.
Not forgetting the shop, where agents' valuations range from £70,000 to £100,000.
Yeah, I mean, it could make the difference between the profit on this property being mediocre to the profit being very, very attractive.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen what it's going to do.
It still works without the shop, but it works a lot better if the shop comes in at that sort of valuation, for sure.
An additional £100,000 to the total would certainly make things very attractive indeed. So was this a good experience for Tony?
Yeah, I think Debbie's learned to put up with me.
But no, it's been fun, hasn't it? And I'm sure we'll be doing more in the years to come.